This episode involves conversations centered around the sexual abuse of minors. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello.
Hello.
What you doing?
Minding my business. What you doing?
I've been waiting for you to call because I watched Insecure last night.
Man. I am officially over Molly. I no longer care. I don't even care that she's on the show anymore.
I think
Let
you need
Kelly
to give
be
Molly
the new bestie.
a little. I mean, we all love Kelly, but I think you need to give Molly a little credit because by the end of the episode, it seems like she realized a few things when she called her therapist.
She realized what she wasn't taking into consideration through this whole Issa situation, which is fine.
I wanted to ask you, in our friend group, do you think we have a Molly?
I declined to comment.
What? I was going to say no.
Oh, even better. Fantastic. I'll go with that. No, we do not. Anyway, before you give me in trouble, it's Memorial Day. So happy Memorial Day.
Thank you. Happy Memorial Day.
I mean, I didn't serve, but I do want to say a big thank you and a rest in peace to those who have served our country in the armed forces in any capacity.
For sure.
My grandpa on my dad's side was a Tuskegee Airman. And he's no longer living, but, happy Memorial Day. And on my mom's side, she was an Army brat, I guess you could say. So, lots of veterans and then those who did serve their deceased. So this is for them for sure.
Yeah, and the same thing for my family on my mom's side. My grandpa was in the Navy, so props to him. He's still alive, so thank God for that.
Nice.
Yeah, still get to celebrate with him, especially on Veterans Day because he gets all the free food and buffets.
He deserves.
Hello, he deserves though. He deserves. But yeah, we just want to thank the troops and thank all the ones who sacrificed for us. Because without them, this country would be worse than it already is.
So yeah, for Memorial Day, I got to spend time with the fam on a virtual Zoom cook-off. And it was so much fun. So shout out to the Piper Grill Thrill. If they're listening, they know the fun that we had today. Man, we had so much food from all over the country. We had like at least minimum 20 people signed on to Zoom presenting barbecue and grilling on live. Like it was so much fun. Like we had a good time. Like everybody presented different dishes and they had to plate it, they had to present it, and they put on full-blown presentations like slideshows and had music playing.
Okay, Pipers.
It was so much fun. They did it.
The Pipers know how to party.
They do. Like, so if it was this fun on Zoom, I can only imagine when we finally all get to be together, how fun it's going to be. Like you really learn not to take those moments for granted. We had a good time. We had a good time, even through the freaking laptop.
Man, like my family's so large, I think that we would overload the server if we all got on.
Zoom has a max capacity of 250 and your family would break that.
Those are
it's
facts.
250 siblings, so I mean...
I have like 190 first cousins.
Oh my goodness.
So
that's crazy.
Just with them alone. Yeah, shout out to my uncles with multiple baby mamas, by the way.
Whoop.
So did you see all the hate you got from last week's conversation?
No.
Girl, you are on a few people's shit list.
I saw a couple people whose opinions don't really matter to me. I mean, I respect their opinions. They're not wrong, just like I'm not wrong. They're not right, just like I'm not right. Just our personal opinions. That's fine if you don't like Drake. But I surveyed Darius again just to be sure. And he was like, I said what I said. I also talked to Ian and I said, hey, Ian, you like Drake? Just randomly. And he was like, no. And that was it. So I think,
Where here is a direct quote, but I'm not going to name the person.
That's fine.
He said Drake could scat on a beat and he would still listen to it.
Whoever this poor soul is, sweetheart, spell scat. Bet you can't. I bet you spell it SCATT, huh?
Oh my God, I'm wheezing. Oh, it just got so hot in here.
Like, look, I'm not gonna do this. People have their opinions about Drake. I just so happen to share my opinion about Drake. It is what it is. All of you Drake stans, stay
all the lovers.
Just stay and stand them over there.
Right. And you know what? People was talking about they were confused because I kept saying I wasn't a stan. And I just want to say that a stan is different from a fan. I'm a fan, not a stan.
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify that. But I'm excited to see what you're going to bring up this week because if it's controversial, I want to see what people are going to say to you and then to me about you.
They were saying that you were riding the fence a little bit, but I think it's only because, you could see both sides, which is totally fine. I'm not going to tell somebody you
don't have to always be totally on one side. Two things can be true, people. And you know what?
I mean, that's what I said last time.
One of the best thing about women, especially Black women, is that we have this thing called duality. So we can see all parts. So you know what? If you ain't got it, you ain't gonna know.
Most of us can.
Yeah,
some of y'all I cannot vouch for. Right. So the real thing that I wanted to talk to you about was your boy, Lil Boosie, and the comments that he made this past week. He's been making comments for a while now that are just beyond cringeworthy.
I am melting into the floor right now.
He's just, in the very first episode that we did say that he was problematic and toxic.
Yes.
He's really putting this on Front Street.
He didn't slow down
at all. He has not stopped. He has not paused. He's just, some people do not need access to social media and Instagram Live to spew out the negative stuff that they just literally spew. And he's a prime example of that. So Boosie, this dude put out an Instagram Live, or just logged into Instagram Live and decided to talk about bragging on hiring women to perform oral sex on his underage sons and nephews. And I'm disgusted.
So I figured that's what you were bringing up, but I was hoping you was going to bring up the Boosie versus Webby beef instead, because he's also in the news for that. So I was like, please, Lord, let it be. Please, Claude.
Look, we from Louisiana. We grew up listening, not grew up, but once we came to a certain age, we were listening to, it was like 2005 when I was really listening to Boosie and Webby.
Oh, girl, I was in middle school.
Savage Life is that album for me.
So I'm from Jennings, and my cousins and my aunties and uncles who's close to my age had me listen to this without my mama knowing.
Boosie he's been a problem.
So when I saw it, because I was today years old, because I be social distancing from social media.
Mood. I need to adopt that mood.
Right. But it's a lifestyle, so But when I saw it, at first I was mad because I felt so bad for these kids. And then after I was like mad and disappointed, shaking my head, I actually felt bad for Boosie, because to me, this was evidence that he was a victim when he was younger, and now he thinks that this is okay. Because you know what they say, hurt people hurt people. So by the end of the video, because it was like that long one that he had put out initially, by the end of the video, I had went from angry to feeling sorry for him and feeling sorry for his sons, that he went through this and the people around him didn't protect him in the way that he carried this on to another generation. And now that they also think that this behavior is okay because they also don't have anyone to protect them.
So to preface, if people don't know what we're talking about with him, because not everybody follows him or everybody pays attention to, Black entertainment news or whatever. Last week on Instagram Live, Lil Boosie was bragging about hiring sex workers to perform oral sex on his underage son and nephew. I want to say,
right? Accent my nephew. Accent ask my son. Yeah, they were 12, 13. They got. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. Yeah, hell yeah, I got my son
14 years old and younger. And he confirmed,
but he showed them how to use condoms at 9.
He said that he had been teaching them or telling them what to do and how to do it. But the discrepancy is, look at these kids' ages. So he admitted this on Instagram Live, where he has like 8 million followers. And it was almost like, people watching this live were basically like, you're condoning your sons being molested. And,
girl, we must have been watching a different live, because the live that I was watching, people was doing the laughing face emoji, talking about no, LOL, talking about, you have to train them.
What?
Yes, because he said that. He said, I'm training them, which made me think, okay, is he running a damn sex trafficking ring?
See,
he's training his sons, like, and it was just so disgusting.
So you can tell that it's a much bigger conversation than Boosie wrong for what he said on Instagram Live. This goes way past that. So a lot of people, from what I've been reading and like just my own thoughts and feelings, like, this is inexcusable. Like, you got to take responsibility for the shit that you said, because this is like some of the worst stuff I've heard. So some people said he put out another statement, or something said he put out another statement saying he was joking. But sir, you pushed this out to 8 million people.
Oh my gosh.
We're joking?
This
is not funny. Like, these are little kids. Let's say somebody tried to report you for child abuse.
And that's why he was joking all of a sudden.
Yeah, like, this is a little bit too much. And so
because where he grew up at, it's not considered child abuse. I feel like when he realized what he said and people started sending him messages and probably most likely calling him, and I'm pretty sure he has a publicist who is reaching out like, you cannot say this type of things.
Dude, what are you doing?
Right. I'm sure it hit him like, okay, I really messed up, because it can mess up his bag. But that's what it's really about at the end of the day for him, messing up his bag. It's not really about like him protecting his kids and like his nephew. It's not about that at all.
He has a bunch of interviews on YouTube where he says,
and Vlad.
Vlad TV, YouTube, probably The Breakfast Club, Drink Champs. He has all of these different types of interviews where he's just saying stuff. And I feel a way. I don't know how I feel, but I feel a way that some of the things that he said, I find myself agreeing with. I'm
Like
trying to
what?
remember exactly what they were. About like not allowing children to make these permanent decisions
At such a young age.
at a young age. I agree with that sentiment alone. But there are like the majority of the comments that he makes, like I'm not cool with. And it's like some people do not deserve the platform that they're given to say these ill-informed or misinformed things that they're saying to millions of people. Boosie is one of those people. Like it's more than being disappointed. It's more than being like, oh, well, nigga gonna say what a nigga gonna say. It's like, bro, you are responsible for the stuff that you put out, and this ain't it. You are really messing up.
So you agreed with the sentiment, but you didn't agree with the actions that he took to try to show this to his kids and his nephew. Is that what you're saying?
I think the sentiment that I agreed with was just it. I think it stood alone.
Right.
When it comes
so you didn't agree with his actions to try to.
I don't agree with anything.
I don't agree
with
his
how
kids.
he approached the Dwayne Wade situation. I don't agree
Right.
with what he was saying, because that sentiment was stated in terms of like Dwayne Wade allowing his child to choose the lifestyle or just the whatever that whatever the child was choosing. They were saying that it should not be a choice right now because they're too young to understand what's going on. Let a child be a child. I get that. I understand that. That's fine. But when Lil Boosie started saying all this wild stuff about allowing his kid to be involved with a sex worker and getting oral sex for whatever reason, that is just not cool with me. 14 and below, I don't care what age you are. Like, you didn't give that child a choice. You didn't allow that child to tell you that wasn't something that they was interested in. You just let that happen. That's calling into question all of your parenting skills.
So when it comes to Lil Boosie's parenting style, I don't really look for him for too much advice, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not modeling my parenting skills after him.
He's not the blueprint. And when
he has 8 kids with buku women.
With buku women. Hello. And when he made that comment about Zaya,
Zaya, that's what it is.
I felt bad for them, because here's the end all be all, the first and the last. That is not your kid. So you do not have the right to comment on their parenting skills. I don't care how you want to compare what you do with your kids to what other people do with their kids. You know what? If y'all were close friends, it would be cool if y'all were talking on the phone and y'all were just exchanging parenting tips. That would have been cool. But for you to just come out like that on a social media platform and talk about this couple and their child and how they're raising them, it's just disrespectful, because that gives, you don't want anyone talking about your kids and your parenting style, but at the same time it's Lil Boosie, and I'm pretty sure that people saying stuff about the way he raises kids, he do not care, because here is a simple truth. A lot of Louisiana people raise their kids in a way that is problematic today. But they were taught back then that this is how you raise kids and have a productive family. So that is all that they know. I mean, we in 2020 now, so let's be honest. He should not be having this state of mind at this point. There's too much in the world and too much that he have seen for him to still have this old ideology of sexuality at all. His thinking about this should have been evolved, but at the same time, how often does the ideas of a Southern Black man evolve?
Ooh,
Unpopular opinion.
Ding, 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 ding. So that makes me think about those very toxic and very homophobic yet very strange and supportive lyrics that he put out in his previous songs. You find with it when it comes to women and when it comes to them pleasuring you. But when it comes to these boys and these young men, oh no.
Okay,
this can't fly.
I'm not gonna lie. I can be jamming.
Bruh. That's why I'm saying I have a problem with Boosie. I officially, and it's been since before right now.
Oh yeah.
I officially have a problem with him. It started way before then. I'm just saying it out loud.
It was when he cussed out his daughter, because obviously he's a misogynist on top of a homophobe.
He's all of these things. And I don't even want to get into the conversation about Southern men. I don't even want to get into the conversation about men, period, because we'll be here all night. But
to understand Boosie and where he gets this mindset from, you have to address that he is a Southern born and bred Black man who has lived a lifestyle where this type of thing is normalized.
It's normal.
The area where he was raised at, that's where I live. I live where Lil Boosie is from. And the area that he grew up in, was raised, is not a good area. And a lot of people from that area think that way. And I don't just know this from a resident standpoint, but I know this from a professional standpoint when I was a project manager and we actually worked in those neighborhoods and met those people and talked to them and engaged with them on a daily basis. And they were cool people. And I met Lil Boosie. I don't know if I told you that. I met Lil Boosie and he was cool. He was really cool. And the people that I met from the area that he grew up in are very cool and very respectful. You know what? They was very respectful of me. I don't know how they feel about white people. But at the same time, I grew up in the South. Although I didn't grow up in Baton Rouge, I know when you in a neighborhood where you don't know. I know that, but I've learned from being from a small town where when you drive up on a street where people don't recognize your car, you better acknowledge them. When you get out of that car, you better ask them how they doing. When you are at that house working every day, you better speak, because you will have somebody on that block who's willing to look out for you. So, it's not like they're bad people all around, but that's people. People are just complicated. They just have so many parts of them.
And that's not excusing what he said, because
absolutely
it's
not
inexcusable. Boosie could be cool as I don't know what.
Yeah.
But what he put out, people on Twitter are saying that he's the epitome of internalized toxic masculinity and homophobia. He needs therapy and he needs a visit from CPS. I'm not about to sit there and disagree with him. The fact that you're allowing these underage children, the fact that you would allow this to happen to any person, your kids, you're in the wrong, and there's no other universal truth to be able to put it against this argument here. You're wrong. You're flat out wrong. What he did with those kids, or what he allowed to happen to those kids, that's a jailable offense.
I agree with you.
He been in jail.
Yeah, 10 years. But I agree with you. And I'm not arguing with that at all. I do see where he is also a victim.
And that's the other part.
Yeah. And that's the thing. There's so many people
a lot of ways
who just had so much trauma through the years where they just think that this type of stuff is okay. So, I used to believe in cancel culture like 100%. Like as Jordan, I would not have a problem. Like one time I was going back and forth with somebody and it was like, so you used to be a Chris Brown fan and Chris Brown did this to Rihanna, so you haven't listened to Chris Brown then? And I was like, no, I have not listened to streamed one Chris Brown song since like all this happened. But the older I get, the more I don't believe in that, because I believe in I can't remember who made the statement, but they were saying how cancel culture doesn't get anyone to learn from their mistakes. And I don't think that everyone cutting off Boosie. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to turn on Zoom as soon as we hang up, And it's not like I'm about to be like, I'm Boosie badass and I zoom right by ya. 765 and Chris at Perry Mount Okay, anyways. Man. But because I don't believe in cancel culture, but at the same time, I do like distance myself when people say and do things that doesn't agree with my morals and values. Yeah, just cutting this person off is not going to allow them to learn from their mistakes. And I do think that Lil Boosie, like everything you said, none of this is forgivable. None of this is explainable. Like there's no reasoning for you to do the things that you do, and there's no explanation for you to explain why you said the things that you said. All I'm saying is that I can see, as a person who has things like that, who has happened in her family, I can see how him being a victim has basically carried on to generations where he hurt people like he's been hurt because he thinks that this behavior is okay. And I know people in my family and outside of my family who were victim of sexual abuse at a young age. And when we got older, they would brag about these type of things. And when I got older, and I would hear guys talk about stuff like that, and at young ages and losing virginities at 11 and 12 and 13, I would say, that person, that girl sexually abused you. Yes. Because a lot of times it's not another 11-year-old, another 12-year-old, another 13-year-old. They're 11 and that girl's 16.
Or that girl is 19 or 25.
Exactly. So it's like you are a victim, and a lot of them don't see that way. But I had someone that I actually broke through to, and to this day, he tells me how that still messes him up. And like, I'm glad that since all that has happened, that he seek therapy and, have come to grips when that, but at the same time, I feel bad that I had to be the person that broke that to them, because no one, just like I'm pretty sure in Boosie's, in his environment, no one in this guy's life and surroundings and bubble had ever told him that that was not okay. No one. And I'm in my 30s now. I was in my mid-20s, and I knew this in my mid-20s that wasn't okay.
I mean,
and he was older than me. So that's how you know that it's ingrained in their psyche that this is normal. So I just felt really bad for him. I felt really bad for him. And I felt really bad for his kids, because his kids are victims now too.
Yeah, right. And so the whole thing is like, he was saying that he was doing this to get his nephews and his sons, quote unquote, prepared.
Right.
And I just, first of all, raise an eyebrow, side eye you super hard. You're getting them trained and prepared because they're going to encounter these things anyway. I don't really know what he meant by I'm getting them prepared. Ask any one of my nephews and my son. I'm going to set them up so they learn it from here first before they go and venture out and find themselves in some whatever situation. But you solicited a grown woman and you bragged about getting them prepared for this. Mind you, you are a father of 8 children with who knows how many women. Your
I bet if his daughters
say,
was getting prepared, it wouldn't be the same energy. I bet you that.
I don't even have the mental capacity right now to even start to discuss the double standards. When it comes to this, I don't even want to. Oh my gosh. Like I can't. I cannot. But just like he's wrong. He's wrong. And I feel sorry for these little boys who have been exposed to this. And I'm also questioning the mental state of these women who chose
oh my gosh
to engage in these activities with these little boys. At the end of the day, they still little boys. And you chose to do this. Why? Because Boosie's a rapper and he paid you.
And I don't care if he paid you.
Do this?
Like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Bro,
are you that hard on for money that you would literally rape a little boy? Because that's what you're doing.
That is what you're
doing.
Call it what it is.
There is no way that little boy can give you consent and tell you that is okay. There's no
like my stomach
way.
is turning thinking about this. My stomach turns just to think about this. And you know what's really sad?
I have nieces. I don't mean to cut you off, but I have nieces and nephews, and that makes me think if someone would exploit them like that, and what I would do,
sick.
Like I would kill somebody. Like seriously, for you to do something like that to a child who have no understanding, you're putting sexuality in their lives and you're sexualizing them before anyone else. And that's what's crazy. You are sexualizing. You are the person that's sexualizing your child.
You're doing it. You're doing it. So it makes me sick. It makes me sick that you have now brought other people into this mess. It is sexual abuse. Point blank period. We know this for a child to have sex with an adult. We have taken R. Kelly to task. Most people with sense have taken R. Kelly to task
just move
for
past
this
him.
very thing.
Just move past him because
and
I don't get upset.
Yes, I don't even want to talk about him, but like it's the same with R. Kelly. Even if you're not the one doing the abusing, you're facilitating it, and that's the problem. So generational trauma
as a parent, it's sick.
But it's still passed down. Even if you're not the person committing it,
child is supposed to look for security and protection is literally
you're providing the abuse.
Yes.
So it's been like I was saying, generational trauma and sexual abuse have been passed down for so long that it starts to look normal. So by the time it reaches a person like Boosie, it's normal to him to say, well, this happened to me and my grandpa told me this and my daddy told me this. So now I'm going to tell my sons this. Bruh, this is a problem and it's still not being addressed.
You know what? If Boosie lived by his music and smoking on purple, he said his daddy loved drugs and his daddy loved girls. So
this is a normal thing for them.
Exactly. I feel like it passed down. I feel like his dad, his uncles, and people around him, because judging from his music a lot, you can tell that he was raised a lot like Lil Wayne, where he started off at a young age and there was these older people looking out for him, pushing this type of sexual engagement in their life. Because even Lil Wayne talks about how he was like 12 years old when he lost his virginity. How do you even have a virginity to lose at 12 years old? I don't even know. Has his balls even dropped? That's the big question. But they think that this is so normal that they don't even realize that they're creating a generation of other victims that have the potential to become another generation of abusers as well.
Oh my goodness. You might have
because you don't know how they're going to take it. Yeah, you don't know how they're going to take this trauma and it's going to translate once they get older. This trauma might translate into them abusing women,
You know, it's the
abusing
same thing with
kids.
Chris Brown. He saw his mom getting
Exactly.
beat up, and we all know what he did to Rihanna. We all know how he stalked and verbally abused, and God knows what else he did to Karrueche. Like, victims become abusers, and that is the realization. And that is so sad. Like you were saying, like, you understand now why. It's not just that Boosie is wrong, it's because something has happened. This is not something that is just happenstance. This just doesn't fall out of the clear blue sky. I'm fine with this. No, this was planted years ago by some sort of trauma, maybe, more than likely. And it's so sad that now this is manifesting through him and his kids and his nephew, the people that he's supposed to be. It's so sad how this is manifesting now through him, his kids, and his nephew. The people are the people that he has charge over, that he's supposed to be taking care of. He's supposed to be looking out for their best interest. It's hard for me to ever believe that this is in their best interest. I don't care how old they are. I don't care, what they're doing, what they have access to. This is not something that needs to be introduced to them right now. Anybody who condones it, like, I don't have the
nothing
words
for
how
you.
disgusting you are. I don't have the words.
That's why I was so disgusted in the people in the comments, like talking about, they need to be trained. What?
At 12, 13,
who hurt you?
14.
Who hurt you?
That's the question. Who hurt you, and why have you not addressed this? Because that is sick. Because here's the truth. 1 in 6 men have been sexually abused, more than likely as little kids.
But as Black men, they don't talk about it.
It's not addressed. It's not addressed at all. And it makes me sad because I think you think about the statistics for little girls, especially little Black girls. But what's not talked about are the boys as well, because they think when you're a boy, a girl came on to you, man up, do your thing. No, you're still underage. You're still a child. This should not be on your radar. This should not be in your realm of thought. Like, this is sick, and these little boys need justice just like these little girls do.
When we gonna let little kids be little kids? When he gonna let his little boys be little boys? Because that's what they are.
You know what it is,
They're
though?
little boys. If they can't hold an adult conversation, if they can't talk about paying freaking taxes, they should not be talking about having sex. And you know what? It's not even the conversation of having sex, because I feel like sex is an important conversation that you should have with your child at a very not very young age, but variably younger age. It's all about the public opinion. And when you was talking about the homophobia of it all, it hits the nail on the head. Like, you're so homophobic and so scared of your sons being gay that you hire a prostitute to give them oral sex. Like,
but what was that? What it was about? He was afraid of his kids being gay. Is that
that's what I took from it. I felt like the training was not just training them.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out, what was he saying? Be prepared for what?
Right. Like, so I think it was training them to be prepared to know what they was doing when they would be with women in the future, which is disgusting. And because I also think there's something magical in experience between two people, when y'all get to learn together. So
that's a whole nother conversation.
Exactly. But I also think he was trying to explain, because I heard about the video from you, but those comments, didn't he say this a while ago when Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union talked about their daughter being transgender? So I think, and I might be wrong, I might have to go back and look at it, but I think he already said this before and it was around that time. So that's why when I heard it the second time, that's exactly what I went to. I was like, okay, he's just being a homophobe. He's so worried about his kids being gay that he's willing to make them victims of a sexual abuse and ultimately maybe even predators at the same time.
Right. I just like this whole. I just need him to shut up. I need Boosie to shut his mouth.
Yeah.
Instagram, disable his account.
Yeah.
Twitter, I don't even know if he's on Twitter, but Twitter, shut it down. Cause this is crossing the line. And he's been saying stuff for a long time that people have just been like, oh, Boosie said this. Well, you know, he crazy.
Oh, it's Boosie. He crazy.
No, bro.
He from Louisiana. First of all, everybody from Louisiana ain't like that. First of all.
We don't deal with that. Like,
and everybody from Louisiana ain't from New Orleans and Baton Rouge. Second of all.
For real. I just, you know, the whole thing, it rubs me the wrong way. I'm sick of hearing his commentary on everything. Everybody has an opinion, but everybody's opinion is not worth hearing. Right. Like, I don't want to hear what he has to say. But him getting back on Instagram to clarify that it was all, like, it was a joke. It's like, it was a joke, but that's not what you joke about. That's not funny. And here's the number one reason why it's not funny. Because Black boys experience sexual assault often as a result of being pressured into sex too early. Like, the internet does not need to let up on him. People do not need to let up on him for what he said. Like, hold these people accountable. But you see how much work it takes to hold people accountable, but that does not mean give up the fight, because like I said, at the end of the day, it's about these kids. And if you are not on the child side, you're on the wrong side, point blank, and the period.
Hello. At the end of the day, Lil Boosie and everyone around him can do better for the sake of the children and for the sake of Lil Boosie. Because if they do better for the sake of Lil Boosie would do better for the sake of his kids. He's already been failed in a lot of ways, but hopefully he can recover and his kids can recover. But I'm glad you brought up this conversation today. It hit me in many ways that I wasn't expecting. You know, I have 2 brothers. I have 3 nephews. So it just was very personal to me. A lot of these stories are normal when it comes to the people that's around me and in my family. So I, as you can tell, I was very passionate about it today, but I'm still glad you brought it up because it's still a conversation that has been had, that has to be had.
Okay, so before we hang up this weekly phone call, I remembered something that I wanted to share, and we'll call this our hashtag wise words. Each week, this would leave us and our long distance besties thinking until our next conversation. This is where we'll sum up our thoughts with one of my favorite insightful Twitter hashtags, and it's pretty self-explanatory. And I was reading something that said, denial can be a most useful temporary shield. Unfortunately, such flimsy armor will not last a lifetime. So it's best to face your past and to do so quickly before your past returns to face you. And I think that plays into the conversation that we were having, where when we're talking about, this particular rapper trying to come back after all of this damage has been done. And he says, well, this was a joke. I think that's a form of denial. And I think it is very flimsy. And I think that, I think even now we see that that's just it's not credible. And so I think when it comes to this particular quote and the situation at hand, he needs to face his past and he needs to do it rather quickly. Whether he does it or not, that's not up to me. That's not up to you. but that needs to happen before his past returns back to face him. And that can manifest in so many different ways. It's going to manifest through his children. It's going to manifest through his actions, his kids' actions. And, you know, like we said, a generation of kids who are taught wrong.
Right. And my comment to that, which I will leave as my wise words for you, and it's also a quote. I can't remember who said this, but I wrote this down years ago. So it's basically like my response and my wise words at the same time. But it's unlearning is consistently doing the things the opposite way that you usually would.
Mm-hmm.
And if Boosie wants to unlearn the behavior that he has been taught, he has to go a different way. So he has to commit to it. So I'm going to leave you with that this week. And next week, I'm going to talk to you again for another Not So Private conversation. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, long distance besties, for joining us again for another Not So Private conversation. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram at Jeanne V. Williams. That's at Jeanne, Jeanne V. Williams, and at Perfectly Mia. That's at Perfectly MIA. And if you have any topic suggestions or any questions, shoot us an email at notsoprivatepod@gmail.com.
Make sure you hit the subscribe button. We definitely appreciate it. Remember to leave a review on Spotify, Apple, and Google. You can also find us at Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Overcast, and Breaker. And you can find us on anchor.fm/NotSoPrivatePod. Now you can also hear us on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Not So Private Podcast channel. Now, with all of that being said, join us next time for another Not So Private conversation.